Hi, I'm Don Lynch, President of Jersey Central Power and Light. I appreciate the opportunity today to give everyone an update of our most recent progress in this storm. This Hurricane Irene, has been the worst storm we've seen in recent memory in Jersey Central and, in fact, throughout our First Energy territory. We had damage to over 670,000 different customers who were out of power. As of this morning, we've been able to restore about 550,000 of those customers. So Jersey Central has a territory across 13 different counties in New Jersey. We have a customer count of a little over 1.1 million customers. So if you look at it, 2/3 of our customers have really been affected by Hurricane Irene. Again, with 550,000 of those being restored as of this morning. I want to just say at this time that I certainly understand and appreciate the frustration that all of our customers and businesses are feeling at this time. Being without power is a tremendous inconvenience, but I do want to assure everyone that we are doing everything we possibly can to get all of our customers back in as quickly and as safely as we can. We've been preparing for this storm last week, and since Saturday when it hit, we've had employees working around the clock to effect restoration. In fact, we have over 1,700 employees engaged here on Jersey Central property to restore all of our customers as quickly as we can. Some of the issues we've come across is a lot of heavy flooding. Trees are down, and some of our access to some of the areas has been inhibited. I think you can see on a lot of the news, you'll see roads have been impassable, trees have been blocking access to roads in some of the places that we need to get to. So that it has inhibited some of our progress. But also we want to make sure that the safety of our employees and the safety of our public is number one in all of our restoration. So our employees are instructed to work as quickly and as safely and as efficiently as we can, but certainly safely. We don't want to have anyone injured throughout the storm that we are engaged in here. I want to also thank, we've been working with the Office of Emergency Management, both at the state, county, and local levels. They've been tremendously helpful in helping us get around and helping to prioritize where we can. Again, we certainly know that everyone wants to get in power as quickly as we can, working with the OEMs, working with the state and the Board of Public Utilities. We are working our process to bring as many customers as possible as we can, and then clearing all the hazards and restoring everyone else as we can. We've had over 400 forestry crews that have been on Jersey Central property that have cleared over 2,000 different locations where we had trees that were down affecting our service. In fact, Jersey Central has had over 13,000 locations of trouble that we've responded to make safe and make repairs. We have over 350 line crews that are here, both Jersey Central from our FE affiliate companies as well, and we are engaging other crews as we speak here to come in and help us with restoration. I just want to say that we are reminded in terms of safety, if any of our customers are out there, we see down wires, please stay away. Even though it appears that it might be de-energized, you may not know, and leave it to the experts, leave it to us. So never touch a down wire, never go near a down wire. Trees that might be on wires, leave that to us as well, and we'll be clearing those also. Again, I know this is a tremendously difficult, tremendously challenging time. We are going to be here, we're going to be on the ground. We did some aerial patrols as well, and we're going to be restoring every single customer. We're not going anywhere, and we're working around the clock until every single customer is going to be restored. So again, I thank you for all of your help and for all of your patience and understanding as we complete restoration in what was one of the worst storms in our history. Thank you.
What's your best guess as to when Morristown and Morris Township residents will all be back online?
Our Morristown substation is one of our largest substations that we have in this northern New Jersey area. That was completely flooded at the storm. I have 35 years with Jersey Central, have never seen flooding of this magnitude. And so that substation was completely wiped out. So everyone off of that substation was affected, of course, by that. The equipment that we have in there is essentially out of service. We have had to try to sort of engineer new solutions to try to provide service for the customers served off of that, Morristown, Morris Plains. We picked up 90% of those customers yesterday through this temporary solution that we have, and we are working out there again all through the night and today to hopefully pick up the rest of those customers today.
We've had some calls that the pumps at the substation in Morristown were not turned on. Any verity to that?
No, I have not heard that. We actually installed flood walls in the Morristown substation years ago. The flooding that occurred in the river behind that overcame all the flood walls. What we experienced there is that we believe a lot of debris had blocked up and kind of dammed up the river and went above any calculations that we had above the flood walls. So I would actually say if we had any pumps operating in there, they wouldn't have been able to pump the amount of water that was in the substation. And there was about 5 feet of water in that substation.
Can you explain a little more about Morristown Medical Center going down this morning? What was the situation with that? The power going out there?
Morristown Memorial Hospital was in power shortly after the storm. I had not heard that they had an issue this morning.
Okay.
But we do have folks that are communicating with all of our both major customers and all of our customers and with the municipalities. And I'm sure they've worked very closely, particularly with the hospitals who were at the top of our list to get them in as soon as possible. So if there was an issue there that caused a temporary problem, we'll address it. And I'll check into that.
Okay, it was that neighborhood. It was not
Oh,
just
it was not the hospital.
It was the hospital, but it was also around that neighborhood as well.
Okay. Again, not familiar with the specifics, but as we engineer a temporary solution over in the Morristown sub, sometimes you have to take circuits out to energize another piece of it. So I suspect, without knowing the details, that's probably what it was. It was part of the restoration process for the overall Morristown sub.
Mr. Lynch, what does this map represent?
This is a map of our service territory in New Jersey. Jersey Central Power and Light is really split into two regions. We're bisected in the middle here. So our service territory is kind of unique. We have about 450,000 customers up in the northwest part, covering these counties that you see here. And we have about 610 or 605,000 customers in what we call our central region. We maintain two headquarters, both in Morristown, Morris Plains, where we are here today, Morris Township, and also in the Red Bank facility.
Can you tell me, when you refer to Morristown, do you mean Morristown proper? Do you mean the Morristown zip code, or something else? Because Morris Township has not been broken out at all from the Morristown numbers.
Morris Township is where this building resides.
Yes.
And it is one of the 250 municipalities that Jersey Central serves.
But I mean the numbers that you put out, and when you speak
maps.
when you speak about Morristown having X number of customers or X number of outages, how many of those are Morristown proper, and how many of those are Morris Township?
Yeah, offhand I don't have those numbers with me. I could certainly get those to you right after this.
Okay.
There's been a lot of disparity in the numbers that have been on the outage maps and what we've been hearing from people here. Can you explain how those numbers are calculated on the maps?
I'm not aware of a lot of disparity, I have to say, between what's been out there. But we have very complex computer models that show how many customers are out of power. Initially, all electric utilities is really driven by customers calling in and saying they're out of power. That's why we always encourage folks who are out of power to call in. They only have to call in once. They have to call in multiple times. And that populates our map and our computer models that tell us where the issues are and how many customers. Not every customer has to call in, but we can calculate based on our circuitry how many customers are out. So based on that, we then determine and publicize in that map how many estimated customers per county, per town are out.
Do you intend to build higher flood walls?
We'll have to take a look at that. I mean, obviously, this is a higher flood level than ever experienced here, and so we'll take a look at that. It seemed to be an issue with debris damming part of that river, so we'll have to go back and take a look at that.
Is there any benefit to having that substation at that location, being so close to a water body that we've seen can potentially flood, and now people are starting to worry about other potential hurricanes, Katia way off, that could be coming in the next couple of weeks, or it can go off somewhere else. Is there any other possible locations that a substation could be built, or is that just cost prohibitive?
I think that location is a great location where we are. I believe that we can take a look at what happened here with the river behind it and prevent any future flooding that we have here like we did this week.
I think there's been a lot of confusion between people who are out because of the substation and people who are out because of other factors, like a tree fell on the line or the wires were down. And when the statements come out about we expect to have, Morristown customers back online, I think it's caused a lot of frustration. Can you talk about that a bit, about the different kinds of things that may have happened other than the substation problem?
Well, typically in local areas here and around all of our service territory, real issue has been a lot of trees. If you look at prior to the hurricane coming up the coast, we've had a lot of rain in the area. So water tables were very high, and with all this rain that came, 10 inches more of rain in a lot of areas, there was just no place for it to go. And what that happens is, besides overflowing and flooding a lot of different areas, a lot of tree roots don't take root, and a lot of the larger trees fall over, taking down our wires and poles with them. So the other parts outside of the flooding of the substation has really been taking down the poles and wires that establish the distribution network for our customers.
A lot of the frustration we're hearing is because public officials claim that they're not getting complete information. They don't know from you which neighborhoods are out. They don't know what to tell the public, and the public's getting pretty cranky. Can you improve the way that you communicate with public officials to get the word out about what's happening where?
We've been issuing press releases regularly, and as late as last night, early this morning, we are trying to get more detailed customer counts out to the best we could in terms of counties. We're working on the towns and parts of the towns and when they will be restored. It's a bit challenging, although we understand the neighborhood piece of trying to get which neighborhood is going to come in. But our network, very complicated, and very fluid in that if you think about it in terms of, say, the Morristown sub, we're picking up customers where we can, feeds off of other parts of the system. A lot of this is innovative and creative to try to bring folks in. So at times it's difficult to determine exactly which street is out, exactly when they're going to come in. But we will continue to work on trying to give those type of estimates to each individual municipality. And that's what we're working toward. So we understand frustration, folks looking for more specific details. Everybody wants to know specifically their individual house. And again, with the volume that we had, 670,000 customers, becomes a bit of a challenge. As we restore, we get down right now to smaller numbers, I think we'll be better able to provide that type of detail that you're looking for.
Mr. Lynch, when do you estimate the different counties will be fully restored, particularly Morris?
It really depends on the amount of trouble that we experience on each of the particular circuits and areas that we have. Really, the full restoration for the rest of our customers, as we've said in press releases, will be the majority of our customers will be back in power by the weekend, by the end of this week. And there'll be a few, because of access problems that we might have, roads, things like that that are challenging, might be into the weekend. But the majority, again, I want to say, will be done by the end of the week, by the weekend. Now, I wish I could say, Morris County will all be done today, and the other ones will be afterwards, or anything like that, or Monmouth County will be done, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. We're working all across the entire service territory and restoring where we can, And then as we can pick up customers, we're picking them up. So it sort of spreads throughout the whole service territory.
Do you have any more questions for Mr. Lynch here? Or we can turn it over to some local officials here that would be happy to make some comments, I'm sure.
I have one additional question. We've had multiple readers post that, you know, I'd like to know the worst case scenario so I don't sit here every day hoping it's going to be that day and I can go stay with a friend or whatever. Can you speak to that a bit? What is the worst case scenario if you have problems, if you run into access problems?
Not sure I totally understand the question.
In other words,
Well, do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of people have, we've heard from public officials that have heard from JCP&L, okay, power should be on by 6 p.m. tonight, should be on by 11 p.m. tonight. Most people should be on by this point tonight. And people earlier on were like, okay, great. And then next day they still had no power. And then we heard, okay, it's going to be tonight. Still had no power. And so people have been saying, hey, if I had known this, if they had just said, look, we don't have an estimated time, I would have just gone to a hotel or I would have just gone out of the area and stayed with a friend. But we kept on getting our hopes up because we kept on hearing 6 p.m., 11 p.m. Can you speak a little bit to these estimates that we were giving or that we were giving our readers that ended up not happening? And just in terms of what can you say to them in terms of their frustration in hearing, getting their hopes up, and then pretty much feeling like you cried wolf too many times?
Right. Since the beginning, we really have tried not to give specific estimates of when you're going to be in because, quite frankly, we didn't know. The first several days, Sunday night, we had to wait, of course, till the storm passes, and Monday and Tuesday, really trying to get an assessment of everything we have out there. Again, trying to get out. So trying to say Monday and Tuesday you're going to be in at 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. Really was almost an impossibility for most folks. So right now we're trying to get a better estimate on that. And so that's why we've kind of said this is going to be, from the beginning, we've said this is a multiple-day storm. It's going to be several days. And as we find things, we're then bringing people in. But it's a bit of a fluid situation that on Monday I couldn't tell you who was going to be in initially, but as we get people out on the ground, we have over 400 what we call hazard and damage assessors on the ground. These aren't line personnel, but these are personnel trained to go out, walk our lines, and see what the damage is. They report back in. As we get that information, we prepare material, we prepare plans, and also then we try to estimate, when do we think this is going to get back in. But it's a really, it's a very efficient process, it's a complicated process. We've really tried not to give those 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock issues. We're working with the municipalities and even more so with the county OEMs. This is a state emergency. The governor has declared a state of emergency, and so the emergency network in New Jersey is through the Office of Emergency Management. And so we have staffed the Offices of Emergency Management. We have someone in the Morris County, and we've tried to use that as our communication network with critical care customers and the like, to at least try to focus on those where we can. So if anything, that's the only estimates we've kind of given. For the folks, maybe back to your question, the one person, should I leave, should I stay? We're working really hard to try to get down to that individual residence to tell you when you're going to be back in. I have to tell you that from the minute I know that on anybody's circuit, we will let you know. But again, we're still assessing all the damage and how we can repair and get to that.
Are the steps that you're taking now, will they leave us any better protected if Katya does come up and hit us, or are we going to go through the same thing all over again?
Well, I would say being the worst storm that's ever hit us, it's not just Jersey Central, but all of the utilities, if you look up the East Coast, have experienced this type of damage. And so I don't think you're ever going to be in a situation where you have a hurricane pass through and nobody experiences any outages. And so we do a lot to fortify our system. It's a strong system, it's a good system. During the course of the year, we're able to, for various outages that occur, right, carpool accidents and equipment that fails, we're able to restore our customers fairly quickly. A hurricane of this magnitude, I think, challenges all utilities. And I believe we're doing a great job right now. Again, with 2/3 of our customers affected, and We have 550,000 restored, really in 2 days, if you think about it, Monday, Tuesday. That's a pretty darn good restoration pace. And so I'm pretty proud of what our employees are doing, and our employees all across First Energy.
I think that's a good point to end the comments from Mr. Lynch now. Would any